Welcome or welcome back, I'm the Ink Archivist, here today with Heliotropium, a curious collaboration between Wearingeul and Webtoon. This is a Korean comic illustrated by Sam, and the Korean title translates to I Want to Be You Just for a Day, and Your Throne is the Webtoon title or English localization. I'm really not quite so sure. The ink itself is a beautiful light gray with purple glitter in it, and this is to represent the character Marquis Helio Nikolai, who has gray hair and purple eyes, and is shown on the side there. I think this is a fun collaboration. Wearingeul is all about literature, and I think this is an interesting direction for that to go in. Apparently this is an exceptionally popular webcomic. I personally hadn't heard of it before I saw this ink release, but I have checked it out since then. So in the box of this ink, they do have the insert, and it's a little bit different from the other inks. So the other ones just have the color swab in the middle and the Pantone number. But these ones have a little bit more detail with the character, the swab, and the use instructions inside. They have 6 inks on the market, one for each of the main characters, and they have 2 quill pens for the 2 main ladies, but I haven't seen them being sold in the US market so far. If you've seen them anywhere, please let me know. I'd love to get my hands on them. They're very cool. I find that Wearingeul swatches and this kind of splatter of this ink is pretty misleading. It's honestly very light, and those swatches really make it seem like it's more of a medium gray, but we'll get into more of what the actual color is. The purple glitter in it is really gorgeous. I do wish it had a little bit of a darker background in the gray to make it really pop, but I get that they were trying to emulate the character. For my personal testing and the later writing sample, I filled up a Sailor Pro Gear Slim Sakura Side Jiki with a zoom nib. I do have some more zoom nib purchases planned, so hopefully I'll be able to give you some more variation in the future. So now we'll move on to our swabs. So we have Tomoe River Paper, HP32, Apica, and Rhodia. And the paper does matter a lot in this instance because the readability varies quite widely based on the paper you're using. It does have a lot of shading to it, and for that reason I don't really recommend it that much on Tomoe River paper. At least my experience wasn't very good because the readability really went down the drain, as I'll show you in the fuller writing sample. But on 32 and Rhodia it looked a lot better, where you kind of have a little bit more flattening and you get a little bit more darkness to it. I wouldn't recommend using this on an ivory or non-white paper. It really needs that really bright white for it to pop out. But other than that, not a lot of show through, bleed through, feathering, or the like. A very well-behaved ink. The flow seemed pretty decidedly medium. And as I mentioned before, this has a lot of shading to it, especially depending on the paper. So now we'll be looking at my notes, which were done on Tomoe River paper. And as you can see, this is very hard to read, and it was even more so when it was still wet. So this was not a very fun experience, and I probably wouldn't use this ink on Tomoe River paper again, But I did have a much better experience on white Rhodia paper and the HP32 and my notebook therapy notebooks. I just don't like this combination in particular. And speaking of Rhodia, we have our Rhodia dot pad out for our writing sample. So I'll be starting the title with the Sailor Hokuro with a 2.0 stub nib as always. And for my broader writing sample, I'll be using the zoom nib, and for the finer one, I'll be bringing this pen back with the fine nib on it. But while I kind of had a moment, I did want to talk a little bit about the webcomic for anybody who's curious. So you can read this for free on Webtoon up to episode 144. So if you have some time and you want to check it out, you have very little to lose. The story is categorized as fantasy, mystery, suspense, and drama. And the main tension revolves around the machinations of a few noble households as they vie for power. I read up to episode 80 while I was sick one day, and I kind of just binge watched it, and I definitely think I'm a little bit older than the target demographic, but I still enjoyed the relationship of the 2 female leads and kind of seeing where the plot was going. I also really enjoyed the artwork, so if you have a moment and any of that sounds appealing to you, I would say go ahead and check it out. Again, it's free to read a lot of it, so not missing out if you don't like it. But moving back to the ink finally, now we have some comparison swabs. So first we have Heliotropium, and then second we have Irishizuku Fuyu Shogun, and then lastly we have Diamine Ghost. Of these 3, Heliotropium is the lightest and hardest to read, and is comparable to Ghost in terms of its flow. I do find it funny how much I have to re-dip to apply Heliotropium with the dip nib because these kind of unsaturated inks can cause a bit of a problem. When I get to Irisuzuku Fuyu Shogun, it just glides across the page. I only have to dip it once for each of the different nibs and then I'm done. So that's Heliotropium. It's the only one of the three with glitter in it either. Fuyu Shogun and Ghost are both standard inks. Also, there's a pretty big difference I noticed when laying the two inks down. Ghost has like a lot of kind of green in the chromatography, whereas as you can probably see even on that big swatch, Shogun has like a lot more blue or purple to it, which is a little bit more in line with Heliotropium. Ghost does compare more favorably to Heliotropium though when it comes to shading. Fuyu Shogun is more saturated, so it doesn't have quite as much as the other two, but Ghost gives Heliotropium a run for its money in that regard, but doesn't quite get there. So there are those three inks. I hope that's helpful for kind of tracking the differences. And now we will move on to the finalized swatches for Heliotropium. And I gotta say I am a bit disappointed by how light this is. I think I would have liked it better if it had been a darker ink, but nothing wrong with it, and I think the beautiful purple glitter does make it a very unique and desirable addition to a collection. So let me know if you are interested in it, or another one from the Your Throne collection. I should have waited to order until after I had read it, because now I want a few more just because I like the characters. So let me know if you feel the same way. But that's it for me today. I hope this has been helpful, and thank you for joining me. Bye!